Coming up on this review, I compare and contrast 2003's Biker Boys and 2004's film Torque as far as how they compare to each other, and if they're worthy motorcycle-based films related to Fast and the Furious.
It's Headphones Neil!
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Headphones Neil Reviews. I'm your host, as always, Headphones Neil. So, I've been meaning to rewatch these films after my recent rewatch of the Fast and the Furious franchise, just because I had a generally okay memory of the films as far as Biker Boys and Torque go, but I never really found them to be any particular movies that stood out to me, and that's kind of evident as far as no sequels being made, no further films of note that were made in the universe, so we didn't get like a Biker Boys 2 or a Biker Boys Origins, or even the same thing with Torque, like Torque 2 or Torque Further or something like that. So for me, watching these films now, in general, they didn't really have any change in effect, but I was able to kind of better define why I thought they were okay films but could have been better. So as far as the original of the two films, or the first of the two films, Biker Boys go, I found it to be a good film as far as the development between biker gangs, coming of age as far as a young motorcycle rider goes. There was a lot of stuff about family, but as far as the plot goes, I didn't find that Lawrence Fishburne learning about how Kid was his actual child versus Will's did anything to improve the story any further. To me, they could have left that as his best friend Will died in a motorcycle accident, and so now his son Kid went off on his own and basically became a good motorcycle rider, and ultimately defeats Lawrence Fishburne because he lost his heart as a motorcycle rider, or he's lost his way and he doesn't have that same drive that he used to because his friend is no longer with him. So in general, the film worked for me until that point, and it took a slightly different turn that didn't need to be taken. And to me, that's kind of a trope that didn't really need to be done. It's like, okay, you know, all his life, Lawrence Fishburne has kind of known about this guy, Will's son, and nothing's come up. And then, as it turns out, this guy is his son, not his friend's son. So for me, that was extra attention that didn't need to be done. And it would have been a better film to me if Kid had defeated Lawrence Fishburne on his own merits, because he's a better motorcycle rider, and because Lawrence Fishburne lost his heart from his friend dying, and not because Kid is his actual son. And he's now reminiscing that he wants to let him come of age on his own terms and not have to continually worry if he's good enough to beat Lawrence Fishburne's character. So if I was to grade it, I kind of want to give it a grade of a C, just because there was some motorcycle stuff, but not really. They had racing, and they spent a little bit of time with the whole idea behind Nas. But that's really about it. It was more about family and biker gang struggles than anything else. So as far as that goes, that was actually the upside for me, was that we did get we got more background as far as motorcycle and racing culture goes, the interactions between the various gangs, the personal relationships that the various gangs have, that they are not necessarily at strife with each other, and there is a certain level of respect if a gang is recognized and they have a certain history between the bike gang leaders. So that was actually a huge plus for me, but it was a whole not really as much on the motorcycle racing, and then the whole trope of the pivotal character in the film being one person's son versus another, so that kind of took it away from me. So that's kind of why I give a grade of a C to the film. Now, when it comes to the movie Torque, it feels like they wanted to go a bit on the more Fast and the Furious side, so we have a lot more motorcycle racing, still very little about actual motorcycle racing and tuning up and stuff like that. We do have different motorcycle gangs, mainly with our main protagonist in the film, but it's more on the drugs side of it than the motorcycle racing again. So whereas Biker Boys was all about family, Torque is more about drugs and a wrong guy being convicted for a crime. So it's kind of like they took the Fast and the Furious's racing scenes and imagery and stuff like that, and then mixed in the story behind Too Fast, Too Furious. And then when you replace cars with motorcycles, you would get the film Torque. So in general, I like the idea, the presentation of the visuals of the film, and the story about the guy and the wrong guy being covered for the drugs, the whole switch up and stuff like that the good guy is trying to pull to put the bad guy behind bars. But in general, it feels like they were taking bits and pieces from Fast and the Furious and not really thinking as far as the motorcycle racing scene, fixing up and like garaging, like the whole hiding behind garages and stuff like that. So it feels like they should have also included a lot more stuff as far as what Biker Boys did in their film, but then introduced or added the Fast and the Furious and Too Fast, Too Furious to it. There was a little bit as far as the protagonist's previous love life and then his friends as far as their crew goes. And we're kind of dropped into it as far as assuming that we know what's going on with everybody, and kind of minimal setup as far as all of that goes. But I didn't find that it was enough to make it worth it, enough for us the audience to care about what was going on with all of these different characters. So
having football down to a science starts with having sleep down to a science, because the better you sleep, the better you show up on game day. That's why NFL players rely on the Sleep Number 360 smart bed. It senses their movement and automatically adjusts to keep them effortlessly comfortable. And it tracks vital sleep metrics like average heart rate and average breath rate, so they know exactly how well they slept. It tackles the science. All they have to do is sleep. Don't miss our Labor Day weekend special. Save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus free premium delivery when you add a base. Ends Labor Day. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL.
So, same thing here. I'd probably rate it a little bit higher than Biker Boys just because I like the visual presentation of it, but not by much. So whereas I gave Biker Boys a grade of a C, I'd probably give Torque about C plus. So, and a C for Biker Boys. So they're really close together because they each do good things well individually, but beyond that, they don't do anything overall well. So that's kind of what Fast and the Furious kind of grew beyond with their individual films. So the Fast and the Furious was all about the racing scene. They added their whole drug scene with Too Fast, Too Furious. They moved to Tokyo for more racing, like a different racing scene. And then they moved all the way into international villains and criminals, and they expanded the universe a lot. So it feels like Torque and Biker Boys were kind of trying to keep to the home racing scene and kind of down-to-earth underground version of things, but there's very little preamble and setup to get us there. So that's kind of why it feels like they weren't able to make any particular sequels of note. So for me, if I was to recommend them, it's kind of hard to recommend them. To say that if you have to go out and watch them, but if you are into more of the motorcycle racing scene versus car racing, then I would say watch them. But if you're more into the franchise, then Fast and the Furious does a better job of it. And for me, thinking back on the Fast and the Furious 1, the original film with Johnny Tran and his motorcycles and all of that, I think it would have been a better thing to have a spin-off where we have the whole motorcycle racing. And you can call it Biker Boys or Torque or whatever his Johnny Tran's crew was called, and put it all on motorcycles. Either as a prequel or a sequel, that because he's, fallen out of favor in Southern California or wherever Fast and the Furious took place. He's now moved into Nevada or someplace else where motorcycle racing is bigger, and he's now started a motorcycle gang. So something along those lines where something like that would work better, and it would give us a character to care about because we know who Johnny Tran was. We've seen him in the Fast and the Furious, and then they can now continue as far as maybe something like Torque, where because he's fallen out of favor, Torque can be kind of the spiritual successor to the Fast and the Furious and his storyline there. But then move it into motorcycles and now continue the story or his story there, and maybe even do a continued franchise with him on motorcycles and living the motorcycle life rather than the car racing life. So that's all there is for this particular review. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback of your own, did you like or dislike these movies? Did you think Torque or Biker Boys was better or worse than the Fast and the Furious films or the franchise? Then you can find me on Twitter at TheTellHand01. The website is headphonesneil.reviews for all past episodes, subscription links, supporting the show, and all of that good stuff. But that's all there is for this particular review. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.
Want the high-stakes stuff? The believe the hype stuff? The criminally good, emotional roller coaster, can't believe what you're seeing stuff? You know, the good stuff. AMC Plus has it all. Can't wait for the beginning of the end? Watch all new episodes of The Walking Dead 1 week early. Want to be chilled to the core? Set sail with The North Water, a thrilling Arctic drama starring Jack O'Connell and Colin Farrell. Plus, uncover gripping true crime content ad-free and on demand. Expect the epic with AMC Plus. Sign up today at amcplus.com. AMC Plus. Only the good stuff.